Welcome, everybody. Today, you're about to embark on your 6-month journey to Mars. You have chosen to go to Mars to be the next batch of colonists to go and really make us into a multiplanetary species. You are engineers, scientists, teachers. You're going to build our new transportation systems there. You're going to grow new crops, make sure we have life support to survive. You have really decided to contribute to the world and make it a better place, to help us stretch our boundaries, make us think wider, and be more innovative. And during the 6-month journey, you will continue to develop your skills, and then you'll really put them to the test as you get to Mars. My name is Margarita Marinova, and I am a planetary scientist, a rocket engineer, and an explorer. And my dream is to be able to build the infrastructure required for you to go to Mars as you become adults. This is really what I'm working on, and it's not just a dream. We're really working on making it a reality. I was born in Bulgaria. That would be in Eastern Europe. And about at the age of 4, my parents told me that they had met Yuri Gagarin, the first person who went to space. And I was really blown away by this concept. I mean, you sort of know what the world around you is. You see doctors, engineers, teachers, all those professions. But going to space and actually living there and surviving there, I really just got completely fascinated with space and trying to learn about it, trying to understand it, and dreaming about going to space. When I was 10, we moved to Austria. And when I was 11, we moved to Toronto, where I spent middle school and high school. And through all this time, my passion really continued for wanting to go to space. And when I was in Toronto, I became more interested in Mars. Mars is fascinating because it's another planet. It's sort of like the Earth, but it's also not like the Earth. It can really help us understand how the Earth formed, how the solar system formed, how life evolved on the Earth. And just the idea of setting up a colony there, of really thinking of a new way to live, to learn, everything you do would have to be reinvented. You can't just walk out the door without a spacesuit. You can't just assume that you're going to find some berries in the forest that you can eat. You have to create all of this on your own. And that's what really fascinated me. And with that idea in mind, that I really wanted to learn more about space and Mars and help get people to Mars, I studied aerospace engineering in Boston as my undergraduate degree. I worked in Germany on developing rocket engines. Then I moved to California, where I got a PhD in planetary science and worked at NASA as a planetary scientist. Now I am a vehicle systems engineer at SpaceX, developing the vehicle that will take us to Mars. And it may seem like I really was all over the place with my career so far, but throughout, it has been driven by asking the question why, trying to understand the world around us and how it works, trying to build the systems and the technologies required to explore that world and explore the planets around us, and being an explorer at heart. Some of the things that I do as part of exploration and learning why, or understanding why, is going to Antarctica. Like Kat, I get to travel in helicopters, which is freaking awesome. This is the dry valleys of Antarctica, and it's probably, well, not probably, it is the most Mars-like place that we have on Earth. It's very cold, it's very dry. It actually makes Toronto seem like a very warm place. And so we go there in order to both understand this extreme environment on the Earth, but also compare it to what we see on Mars. We have, this is a weather station, might be a little hard to see. This is a weather station that I put up in Antarctica in order to measure what the conditions were there, help us with modeling what's actually happening and understanding the environment there. The polygonal ground that you see over here, those weird shapes, we see that in Antarctica, but we also see it on Mars. And so by understanding how they form in Antarctica, we can figure out what kind of conditions must be present on Mars to also form these sort of features that we see there. I've also done work looking at stromatolites. Stromatolites are a type of rock, carbonates, which really dominated the Earth for billions of years before multicellular life came around. And that's where we find the first signatures of life on Earth. Well, if we go on Mars and we're looking for life and we find a stromatolite, does that automatically mean that we have found life on Mars? And this project was focused on trying to understand what these signatures of life are. If we go to Mars, how would we know if we have found life or not? An awesome part of this is that we got to use submarines to explore the bottom. We first started with scuba diving, but you have limited bottom time with that. And so we went on to these submarines. They're single-person submersibles built by Newtco Research, actually in North Vancouver. And you can stay underwater for about 6 to 8 hours with them as a maximum. And also, I had the privilege of working with Chris Hadfield on this project, which is super fun when you get to play submarine bumper cars with Chris Hadfield. And Pavilion Lake is just a couple of hours northeast of here, so a place you can totally visit yourself. And now I work on actually building the rockets and the technologies required to take us to Mars. This is one of the rockets that we landed on a drone ship. So one of the things that SpaceX has been working very hard on is reducing the cost of access to space. And to do that, we really need to make rockets reusable. If you launch a rocket and you throw it out every time you use it, it's very, very expensive. And so I've worked in the teams to figure out how to land these rockets, how to save them, and how to make the rockets reusable. Right now, I'm working on the Mars ship design, so actually building the ship to take us to Mars. This is the Falcon 9 rocket, and it's great for delivering payloads to Earth orbit and also taking smaller items to Mars. But in order to really build up a colony on Mars and carry lots of cargo and people there, we needed a much bigger rocket, which is what we're working on now. So my passion is exploration, asking the question why, and stretching our boundaries of technology. In my world, that has meant learning science and engineering. But really, the bottom line of this all is following your passions and making a difference in the world. It certainly has not always been easy, but easy was never really my goal. My goal was to do something that I cared about and something that made a difference. And that by default will mean having those long nights, working through hard projects, working through math and physics that is not obvious to begin with, and really stretching your boundaries and your comfort zone. But that's what's required to really stretch our boundaries as people and do things that we can't even imagine as we're sitting here today. So I challenge you to find what you are passionate about, what you care about, to be curious and courageous and make a difference in the world in the way that speaks to you. Science and engineering and knowing those will always help, but the most important thing is to be passionate, innovative, and courageous. Thank you.